So do you want to live in Hawaii? You could live there, or there, or there, or even right there. It'll just be about $1 million. So let's talk about Hawaii YouTube real estate channels. Maybe you've seen some of their videos. They talk about how wonderful it is to live in places like this. They talk about how wonderful Hawaii is and some of the idiosyncrasies that we locals have, in hopes that you will pick them to represent you in trying to buy or sell a place here. So I thought I'd come down to Ward, which if you haven't been here in a while, it's completely different. There's the Ward warehouse there, but place is completely different nowadays. Recently, I've seen some comments saying that these Hawaii real estate YouTube channels are doing a disservice to Hawaii and locals because they're basically selling out Hawaii, literally and I guess figuratively. And especially at a time when many locals are struggling to buy a home, it can come across as eh. And so as a YouTube content creator, a local born and raised here in Hawaii, as well as someone who's potentially looking for a place to upgrade to, I thought I'd share my opinion on these Hawaii real estate YouTube channels and talk about whether they really are selling out.
Hello from Hawaii.
So first I want to unpack how I think some locals may feel when they view these YouTube channels. Sort of what could make people write those types of what I would consider pretty hurtful comments. Then I want to talk about the YouTube channels from the perspective of a YouTube content creator, someone who's been making videos about Hawaii for over 4 years. And lastly, I want to talk about my own personal feelings about these YouTube channels and maybe what they could do in the future for some future content that I would love to see. And of course, these YouTube channels are run by adults. They don't need me to defend them, but I thought I would just chime in and offer a local's perspective. All right, so let me first say that I understand where people are coming from when they're trying to get housing and they see other local people or non-local people or people they think are not kama'aina or locals selling property in Hawaii. I mean, it's really expensive to buy a home where we're looking for places to live and to move to. And it's a struggle because it seems like everything is about $100,000 to $200,000 out of reach for our family, which is, it's tough because, you know, we work and we save and we got kids and it's there, but it's just beyond our grasp. And so as you're seeing these YouTube channels make videos showing off beautiful and wonderful homes, but also specifically talking about life in Hawaii, I think that can be a little discouraging for some people because they're like, why are you inviting more people to come here when we can barely house our own? But specifically to these types of YouTube channels, at least they're being transparent on where they're coming from. I mean, they're set up as a real estate channel. They are telling you up front, if you need help with buying or selling a home, go and contact me. And I remember early on when I started making videos about Hawaii, there weren't that many YouTube channels about Hawaii specifically out there. There were some that were well established, but there weren't that many. And so I subscribed to a lot of these relatively smaller YouTube channels. A lot of them happen to be real estate because I think those people recognize, especially in 2020, that YouTube could be used to grow their personal brand and their real estate business. And so I subscribed to a lot of their channels and I watched a lot of their content. And a lot of it initially, if you look back, was about homes and previewing homes and going inside and giving like wonderful walking tours. But those are very specific for a certain type of audience. I think that's more so for people who were looking for that specific property and then they would check it out and, you know, they would see what it looked like. But you'll see that these channels actually have changed over time, that a lot of them have switched to talking about what life in Hawaii is like, which I think is wonderful because that's more of what I'm trying to do. It's not just parties and beaches and all these things. It's about what is it like to live here, because if people do want to move here, that's what they care about, right? They don't want to know the tourist experience. They're not tourists anymore. They're thinking about what it's like to actually live here, and so that's what they want to know. They want to know about certain areas. They want to know about schools. Look at that art. Millennium Falcon right there. Rainbow. Go Bows. What I think separates a channel like my channel with someone else's YouTube channel who's a real estate channel, I'm not selling you anything, right? There's nothing that I can sell that you might be interested in. That's not really my aim. I'm just here to make fun videos about Hawaii. But I think these real estate YouTube channels specifically have something to gain, particularly something big to gain financially, because they are in the business of selling homes. And so I think that may rub some people the wrong way, and it may seem like they're taking advantage of a certain type of audience. But like I mentioned, I think they're very upfront with that. You know that I'm not a realtor when I make these videos, but you also know that when these channels make videos about Hawaii, that's the angle they're coming from. They're trying to build that relationship because they want you as their client. Whew, so nice. And specifically just from a business standpoint, I think it's absolutely brilliant. I think it's a great move as a realtor to put yourself out there to separate yourself from the rest of the pack. In Hawaii, there are over 10,800 real estate salespersons. And how are you gonna separate yourself from everyone else? There's only so many properties that are for sale, and it's really a networking and connections type of business. So how are you gonna make those connections if you're just gonna post posters on the wall or have a little website that is very static? If you have a YouTube channel, people can find you, and when they can find you, they get to know you, and as they develop that relationship, they're gonna wanna work with you. This used to be the Sports Authority, or Ohana Hale, I guess depends on when you got here, but that used to be the old Sports Authority right here, and now it's, I don't know what that's gonna be. So from a YouTube content creator's perspective, I think more realtors should have YouTube channels, and they can see how hard it is to make some of these videos, because it's not easy. It's not easy to plan, script, film, edit, do all the description and metadata and promotion. It's not easy. And then you gotta go and do it again after you get 6 views and you viewed it 2 times. So you really only got 4 views. I wonder what it must be like to live in one of these places. It must be amazing. I can only imagine. And since I'm here, I should also dispel a myth that only rich foreigners live in these places. I mean, there's definitely a lot of people who aren't from Hawaii living in these places. A lot of people renting, military, otherwise short-term or long-term, hopefully, legally renting in these places. I mean, this is nice. The amenities are really beautiful and amazing, and yeah, it's nothing like you'd find in other parts of the island. But there are local people who do live here. And let's talk about some suggestions for some of these real estate YouTube channels. Again, they can make whatever videos they want to. They're just contributing to that Hawaii pool of content, and I think that's wonderful and great. What I would love to see, and I think this would be great, and I would tune in every week. I wish there was a real estate channel here locally. What is that? Oh, they don't want me to tell you the secret. What I would love these real estate channels to do is, along with what they're currently doing, is to have some sort of web series or just a series of videos where the goal isn't to try and talk up Hawaii. The goal isn't to even try to show off a specific place, but the goal is to find a local family who needs a home and get them a home no matter what. Just don't give up, and just document and go through that whole process and show people what it's like for a local family to try and buy a home here, because that would be very relatable. You see a local realtor working with a local family, and they're just trying to buy a home, and you can see the ups and downs of that process, what they can actually afford, and maybe they will get outbid, and that's just part of the story. That's what they're just trying to do. I think that would be dramatic and intriguing, and it would be something that I would tune in every single week. Their goal isn't views, their goal isn't to make a huge sale. The goal is simply just to help this local family. And the videos just keep pouring in until they find a home, or maybe they just end up giving up and renting. But I think that would be a wonderful series to make. And so just some closing thoughts on these Hawaii real estate YouTube channels. I think they're great. I think that any content creator that goes out there and puts content about Hawaii, boy, it's tough. But if you do it, you're contributing to a fairly small group of content creators, people like yourself that are crazy enough to continue to make videos about our home. A lot of other people make content about our home, but they're not from here. They just come here and they're transient, they're passing through, and so their perspective is very different. But when you're rooted here, when you're local here, when you're born and raised here, you have a different perspective. And it's a perspective that I think a lot of people are interested in hearing. I always encourage people to make a YouTube channel. You know, it may seem counterintuitive because it's, oh, more competition for me, but I don't view it that way. I think the more people that are playing the game, the more people that are making content, the better, because it pushes all of us. But more importantly, it'll share different perspectives on what Hawaii is really like. Because it's not just marketing. You know, we see all the marketing content, and those are from professional advertising agencies, and they're tapping into a certain type of audience. But I think people who are curious about Hawaii beyond just that, they know that that's not how it really is, and they're hungry for that type of thing. They want to know what life is like here. They often find Instagram or TikTok, and even to that extent, it's so short, the content, that it's hard to really make that connection and to understand what's going on. And that's why I think YouTube is wonderful, because it provides this longer form content that, yeah, some people don't have the time for, but I think if you're serious, people do have the time, and they're willing to sit down and listen to someone just talk about how things are. And so if you're a Hawaii YouTube channel making real estate videos, keep on going. I know it's hard sometimes and it can be discouraging. And if you're a viewer, I just encourage you, maybe check some of these channels out, because once they make that pivot from just showing houses and things which you may not be interested in, but once they make that pivot to other type of content where they share about what they feel about life in Hawaii, I think that's the more interesting stuff. That's the stuff that, to me, is going to build those relationships with potential clients, but also just potential viewers who may like their stuff. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Thanks for watching, and aloha.
Hello